Welcome to the Olathe Spark Starters Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this week's Spark Plug.
Teachers often ask, how do you engage students through meaningful relationships? We need practical strategies. Here are a few quick and easy tips to get you started. First, start by greeting each student as they walk through the door. Say hello. And how about a fist bump, a high five, or a handshake as they enter your room? Be sure to tell each student goodbye as they leave also. Doing something as simple as acknowledging each student by name, or even by nonverbals, which would be a handshake or a high five, is enough to build those meaningful relationships. You could also do a roll call question. Give them something easy to respond to that they will talk about when you call their name for roll. You may also wish to talk about what's happening in their community. Talking is a great way to get to know your students and build those relationships, but listening is just as important. Every day, build those connections before the lesson. Ask the students to share a good thing or highlights of their day before you get started. Another fun idea is speed dating. Students respond to a question that you pose with people that they sit next to or in their table group. For instance, you could ask them about their pets or if they are a cat or dog person. While this won't take very long, it will go very far in terms of building relationships with both you and the students around them. Another great way to build relationships with your students is to be involved. Ask them about their extracurricular activities. While it's impossible to attend every game, performance, or activity, you can ask them about them and follow up later with how'd it go? How about their job? Have you asked them about that? Be sure to be aware of your nonverbals. Wave and smile when you're out and about and you happen to see them at the store or at their place of employment. And while this won't take long, because asking about the soccer game or about their performance at the play won't take you very much time, but will go a long way in terms of establishing relationships. If you remember to ask how that soccer game went or that play performance went, students will think, wow, they remembered, he or she cares, and is getting to know me. Be sure to play up your positive interactions with your students. There are some students that receive a lot of negative attention for a variety of reasons. Be sure to praise and encourage all students all the time when they do something great. Expressing your sincere gratitude for the attendance in your class or at school will also go a long ways. Remember, the key here is your sincere gratitude. And a last quick way to build those important relationships in your classroom is to validate their feelings. We all know that we have a bad day every now and then, and when that happens, seek to listen. Don't minimize their feelings or emotions, but just listen. Are you looking for ideas to build trust? What about trying inside-outside circle? Students form a circle within a circle, ideally with an equal number of students in each circle. If there's an odd number, I suggest you jump in and be a part of it too. An activity leader is usually the teacher, but could also be a student, would present a topic, prompt, or question. Partners share for 10 seconds or less, and then the leader asks the inside circle to move clockwise a certain number of spaces to collaborate with new partners directly across from them. You can use inside-outside circle in a variety of ways. You can ask content-focused questions or quick discussion questions that are content-related or even current events. You may even wish to use inside-outside circle at the beginning of your class and ask non-content related questions. Another fun idea is called Continue the Story. And why? It's storytelling. Who doesn't love storytelling? In this activity, one student starts the story and each following student continues it by adding a sentence or two. With time, the story grows more and more. It could be written down or even recorded. These stories are usually funny because you never know what the next student will say. The final activity is called Me Too and can be run in a variety of ways. This could be done in lines, circles, or being seated. First, a student gives a fact about themselves, such as, I love basketball, or I have 2 sisters. If that statement is a fact that is true about another student, they stand up and say, Me too. If you're in a line, they step forward and say, Me too. In a circle, they step inward and say, Me too. They can also stay seated and simply raise their hand and say, Me too. Reset and start with a new statement.
And now it's time for the mailbag. We had some fantastic questions this week. In fact, we had so many questions that unfortunately we can't answer all of them on the show. But thank you. Please keep sending those questions in, and we'll try to get them answered on the show. Today's question comes from Kaylin Keplinger, 4th grade teacher at Heritage Elementary. Her question is, have any of you attended conferences that were extremely engaging, beneficial, and has changed how you teach? Now, we had a lot of fun discussing this one because there are a ton of fantastic conferences to attend. There are some attached to professional organizations like NCTE, NCTM, ILA, ISTE, all those other acronyms for professional organizations, especially tied into specific content areas. Plus, there are some amazing conferences tied into specific topics like World PBL, Flipgrid Live, and Kagan conferences. The problem is these national conferences, they can be kind of pricey, especially once you figure in things like travel and hotel. So I love finding a great local conference to attend. Here are some of the best ones we would recommend. Number one, and I'm not just saying this because this is an Olathe podcast, but I love going to Olathe Summer Conference. There are people from within the district who are presenting. They bring in national presenters. So definitely check out the Olathe Summer Conference at the end of the school year. It's a great way to wrap up the year. It's a great way to get some ideas to kind of kickstart your summer. I would also, number 2 on the list, highly recommend the MACE Conference. The MACE Conference is the Mid-America Association for Computers in Education. This conference takes place at the end of February. It's a great way to connect technology to the classroom. Now, next up are some of these summer conferences, such as Podstock or NerdCamp Kansas. Both of those are great conferences to check out. All the ones on this list, multiple people on the podcasting team have been to, enjoyed, learned from, and grown from. Which finally leads me to number 5 on the list, which is any Edcamp you can get into. Edcamps are a little bit different style for a conference. They're always free registration. Definitely check those out, especially you guys are getting the inside scoop, the sneak preview, Edcamp Johnson County. That's right. There is going to be a local Edcamp, which is going to be hosted and put together by people on this podcasting team. That will be coming out in mid-April. More information on that coming up later. Now, if you want more information about any Edcamp, if you want to find out where some local Edcamps are going to be, check out Edcamp's official website, and they have more information about Edcamps all over the U.S., but especially locally. Now, that is it for this mailbag. Quick recap. Olathe Summer Conference is great. The MACE Conference is great. Podstock is great. NerdCamp is great. Any Edcamp you can get into is going to be a fantastic way to grow and learn. The other piece I would recommend is go with a friend. Because I've been to conferences by myself, and I've been to conferences with other people, and you just get so much more out of it when you can go and reflect on what you learn with other people who are there in attendance with you. Now that's it. Do you have any questions you would like us to answer? Do you have future topics for this podcast? Or would you like to be a guest on the show? Email us your questions at olathe@gmail.com. Thank you for joining us for episode 3 of the Olathe Spark Starters Podcast.